It's time for High School Sports Center, exclusively on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio Northern Michigan. Here's your host, Rick Coates.
Yes, you have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. I am Rick Coates, along with Tom Devitt, joining us from our Petoskey studios, and Mike Misico from the Kalkaska Leader, and High School Sports Center. And Tom and Mike, boy, we come to everyone tonight with real heavy hearts, and this is obviously going to be probably the most difficult high school sports center that we've had to do to date. By now, it's not only known throughout northern Michigan, but we've been hearing from people all over the country that are aware of an accident that took place on Monday. Took three lives of three very young people here from northern Michigan that involved the Grayling Vikings golf team, obviously from Grayling, and as well as a young woman, Cassie Stapleton, from Kalkaska, who was 26 or 27 years old. Currently, I believe 5 members, we're going to be getting some information a little bit later this evening, but 5 members from the Grayling boys golf team hospitalized. Also losing their lives in this accident, 18-year-old, and he just turned 18 on Sunday, Louis Menard. Everybody knew him as Louis over there. And their coach, brand new coach, Jason Potter. He was 31 years old, also losing his life. Recovering in the hospital, Rhonda Mitchell, the mother of Cassie Stapleton. She survives, as well as Cassie's 3-year-old daughter as well. Tom, boy, this is a tough night. We're going to dedicate this night to the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska, and everyone here in northern Michigan that is grieving. And we know their thoughts and prayers are going to go out to both of these communities and everyone that was a part of this terrible tragedy.
Absolutely. You know, sports is all about fun and games, and this takes a very serious side. There's no real roadmap for the people in Grayling to follow how to deal with this. There's no roadmap for us to deal with how to do this show. We're going to do the best we can, but obviously under the circumstances, it's very tragic. And for those of us with kids, you think about your kids that play sports and how this really hits home.
Yeah, it hits home to all of us throughout northern Michigan on different fronts. And I just want to let everyone know kind of the format for tonight. And as Tom Devitt eloquently explained, we don't have a roadmap for this show tonight. This is tough on all of us. We know it's tough on each and every one of you listening. We've gotten hundreds of responses on Facebook and Twitter, people from all over northern Michigan. And we want you to weigh in tonight, to call us. It's an opportunity for us as a northern Michigan community to come together and grieve. We're going to talk about an opportunity that's going to be taking place, a community event tomorrow night in Grayling. We'll be talking about that shortly. But 231-929-1067 is our telephone number tonight, 231-929-1067. We're going to open the phone lines after a couple of our first guests. Our first guest, when we come back from break, is going to be Mike Fortuno. And Mike Fortuno is the golf pro at the Grayling Country Club. And they are the home course for the Grayling Vikings golf team. And Mike has a nephew that's on the team that was injured but survived the crash. And so we're going to check in with Mike. He's going to give us an update about the victims that are currently in the hospital and what their health is and state is. He's also going to tell us about the community gathering that they're expecting 600 plus tomorrow night at the Grayling Country Club at 6 o'clock. And so we're going to speak to him about that. And then just before, I'm a little bit, right now I'm a little caught off guard, because just before we started the show, we got a call from the hospital from Dallas Johnson, one of the members of the Grayling golf team who survived the crash. And he called us from his hospital room and wanted to say a few words. And so we recorded that conversation just before the show started, and we'll play that. And then once we hear from Dallas Johnson, we will open up the phone line. And we want to hear, Tom and Mike, I met Jason Potter for the first time. This is the coach, the 31-year-old coach who lost his life on Monday. I met him for the first time a week ago Monday when Grayling hosted the first Lake Michigan golf conference match of the season. And as I've mentioned before, my son he's a freshman over at Traverse City St. Francis. It was his very first golf match, and Jason listened to the show, came over to me a couple of times, and I could see the enthusiasm as a new coach, as a young guy who wanted to pass his knowledge and love of the game of golf to the Grayling golf program. But other than that, I know nothing about Jason Potter, and we want to learn as much as we possibly can about Jason tonight. So if people can call us, I know Mike Fortuno is going to call us with and tell us about Jason. Another person that we know that listened to the show because he called us a couple of times, and that was Louis Menard, 18 years old, smart kid, 4-point student, getting ready to graduate in less than a month, was headed off to, Tom, your favorite university, the University of Michigan. I'd like to know more about Louis and who he was. So students from Grayling, classmates of Louis, please give us a call. We're also going to learn about Cassandra Stapleton, a mother of 3, 27 years old, played sports in Kalkaska. We're going to hear from her cheerleading coach who called me earlier today. We're also going to hear from one of her family members who wanted people to know what type of person Cassie was. So that's going to be the format for the show tonight. And again, it'll be open phones, 231-929-1067. We're going to postpone discussing sporting events from around northern Michigan. We'll resume that type of coverage on Saturday, but we all agreed, and in talking to some coaches, Mike, people felt very uncomfortable coming on tonight talking about games that they're playing when we have grieving going on throughout northern Michigan.
That's right.
Sorry, let me get your microphone up there.
Listen, a lot of times sports...
You're going to have to go to the other mic. I'm sorry.
All right.
There we go.
Here I am.
Yeah, we got a defective microphone there. Apologize.
A lot of times, guys, sports transcends. Sports is a way of healing. Tom kind of touched on it a little bit. And after tragedies or certain hardships, people can turn to the sporting world for comfort and a little break from reality. But things like this, when it hits, something like this happens. Like you were saying, Rick, the coaches I talked to, a lot of the people I talked to, it just didn't seem right going on. This is something that, you need to address. And we look at this as a way to honor a tribute to these people that were injured, to these people that were lost. And maybe in some way here we can help begin the healing process for many, many people whose lives are forever altered by this.
Tom and Mike, with this tragedy, Michigan sports, people are talking about this throughout the country. We've seen write-ups in newspapers. It's went through the golf circles, PGA. They sent us a note to read to the Grayling golf team tonight from the PGA. We'll read that a little bit later. But while all of that was going on, Tom and Mike, I was sharing this with Mike off the air before we started. Just a fantastic story coming out of northern Michigan last night. And Tom, I don't know if you heard about this or not, but Coleman, Michigan, the high school, the JV teams, JV softball, JV baseball, were traveling to McBain last night for a game. And on their way there on the bus, the coach had noticed that the JV boys baseball coach noticed that a vehicle had went into a farm pond just off of the highway and that the vehicle was sinking. The coach immediately ran out of the bus. Coach Tom Pashik, brand new coach, just moved to Coleman from Illinois, jumped into the water. Some of his team followed him. The JV coach from the softball team, she jumped in as well. They were able to pry the door open, and this is just a breaking story, and we're able to save that individual from drowning last night. So we have some positive news there. We're going to take a break. We really appreciate everyone joining us tonight on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. It's High School Sports Center. Our focus tonight is on the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska, as well as all of northern Michigan, as our thoughts and prayers go out to both of those communities and everyone involved in the tragic accident that took place on Monday. When we come back from break, Grayling, the Grayling Country Club, the golf professional there, Mike Fortino, is going to join us. He'll bring us up to speed in regards to those athletes who survived the crash from the team, and they include Mason Cray, Tyler Summers, who my son Joe played. That's the first round of golf he played. Tyler was his golf partner a week ago Monday. Jake Hinkle, Gunnar Metzer, and Dallas Johnson, just before we started the show tonight, called us from his hospital room, gave us an update on his physical condition, and he has a message for all of his classmates in Grayling and the whole community of Grayling next here on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan.
You're listening to High School Sports Center on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio, Northern Michigan.
Good evening. You have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. It's High School Sports Center. Rick Coates here in our Traverse City studios, along with Mike Misico, who recently joined our broadcast team, sports editor with the Kalkaska Leader, and Tom Devitt, our director of operations in our Petoskey studios, and holding right now. We're going to go to him in just a second. The golf professional from the Grayling Country Club, Mike Fortino, and we're really looking forward to talking to Mike. He is going to bring us up to speed in just a second. But, Tom and Mike, Louis Menard, who lost his life, he was one of the members of the Grayling Vikings golf team. He was planning on going to the University of Michigan, and I really think that we ought to, we really ought to send this out to him. Yes, Louis Menard, 18, losing his life on Monday, getting ready to graduate in just a few days. Now joining us on the telephone, Mike Fortino. He's the golf professional at the Grayling Country Club, where it's the home course for the Grayling Vikings. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. We know the last few days have been extremely hectic for you.
Thank you for having me, Rick.
Michael, let's start before we talk about the players and the coach. Let's start with what the country club and the community of Gaylord is doing tomorrow.
Well, it's Grayling.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm so
Yep.
sorry. So sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yep. And the community is, of the tragedy that's happened. Obviously, here is a really major blow to this community, and I think it's the community itself getting together and showing their support and care for the family who have lost their lives, and of course the ones that are still recovering and trying to heal here. And that's what this is all about for tomorrow. This is a vigil that's at 6:00. And Rick, this is something that this club, as a small little club in a small little town with a lot of caring members and community people, we really don't know what to expect, but I know one thing. I had a young lady come to me and say, "Hey, what do you think about a vigil?" And I said, that's great, and she asked when she could do it, and she mentioned some days. I said, well, I think that's too quick. I say, maybe Thursday would be probably our best day to do that. And that's how this thing started. So let me tell you, it started with a little gal, and her name is Rachel Greenway, I think her name was, that came to me and said, what do you think? And I said, okay, we'll support you in any way we can. And at that point, I didn't know what this was, to pertain. And I really was overwhelmed with my own grief of family member in the accident, and I say a friend, but he basically is a family member of mine too, as both players. So I was, in a daze also. So anyway, to make a long story short, she took this thing and put it on social network, and I don't need to speak more about what happened from that point on, really. Right. And it's just, I'm just overwhelmed with the support, and I'm really don't know what to expect for tomorrow, but I would expect that this town is going to see something it's probably never seen before in its whole existence here, to be honest with you.
Joining us on the telephone, head golf professional at the Grayling Country Club, Mike Fortino. And Mike, let's talk about some of the players from the team that are in the hospital. And your nephew is on the team. And how is he doing? As I mentioned, we spoke to Dallas Johnson just before the show started, and we want to let people know Dallas Johnson is not the assistant coach of the team in 26. Dallas is 15 years old and a member of the golf team. But Mike, tell us how your nephew is doing, and what do you know about the status of the other members of the golf team?
Well, I was in the hospital yesterday, and my nephew, which his name is Mason Cray, and he's a senior. He's a very lucky man. Let's put it this way: he is starting to come around a little bit physically. He had a broken jaw. He probably could be relieved. He started to walk yesterday. Had 2 vertebrae broken in his neck. He was very badly lacerated in a few spots, to the point where the nurse was saying, "You're a lucky man because a half-inch would have meant life or death." And so he's emotionally, I think is doing well. Physically is doing better, be honest with you, because he is showing improvement. He did walk yesterday, and today I haven't been there, but I know that my loved ones called me from the hospital and said, hey, he's possibly going to see an oral surgeon Friday and wire his jaw, and he may be able to leave Friday. So that's his story. Now, the other gentleman's, now let me just explain something. Also, I also got there at 8 o'clock in the evening, so it was hard to go and see all the young men. So I went to first my loved one, of course. The room was full of 30 young kids, obviously. It's just, it's amazing. And so then I visited with him. He was doing well. Then I went to the Hinkle family, and he was in ICU, and he just came out of surgery with a severely, badly broken leg in 3 places. And he is in a coma. And he now, listen, just in the last hour, he responded to sound and to voices. He squeezed a hand. He raised his hand and scratched his head. So he is starting to respond a little bit for the first time now. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Yes, and the Summers boys, now I didn't get to see them now because in ICU there's only 2 allowed, and I wasn't a family member there, and so I couldn't, even get close to that, but that's another story, and he's got a long road to recover, and he is probably the worst out of the bunch as far as his injuries go, and he is also in a coma. So those 3 I knew about. One got released yesterday. I can't remember his name, and of course, I think one got released today, and I don't know who that is, Rick. But this is what I can tell you, and it's there's some positive about it, but there's also some really, really sad things about what I just said. So please have people pray, and that's all we can do there. So
right.
Mike, this is Tom Devitt here. I just I wanted you to let me know how well did you know the coach, Jason, and if you could maybe share a little insight into what he was like.
Well, I raised 2 daughters here. One's 30, one's 27. Jason was, I believe, 30 years old, somewhere right in there. He was brought up, around my family, obviously. And I know all of his friends. That was the part of growing up. The part professionally as a young coach. He took his job the same time I took my job, roughly in March. He accepted a job from Mr. Desenfants, became ill with cancer, so the club or the school needed a coach. He stepped up to the plate, which took a little while. They were really wondering whether or not they're even going to have a coach or a team. So he took that over. Me, I took over the club at the same time. The club ex-manager and pro, he left, because of health reasons with his mother in Arizona. So the club immediately needed somebody. I take it. So we're holding our hands together trying to get through, new jobs and how to do things and that. But the other part of Jason I knew as a friend, he and a golfer, and I've known him a long time for that because he's played in our leagues here, and I've been a part of the league. We both became members and stockholders and things like that. So I would have some tournaments that I run, travel and tournaments of 40 men, and he became part of that, which was a huge friendship of 40 men that travel from all over the country to come and play in my tournament. So, and I'm telling you, everybody in that tournament that met Jason Potter said, what a fine young man that guy is. He helped me with my scoring. I'm getting elderly, and my eyesight wasn't good, and I kept saying to my partner, man, these kids are a big asset to us. And one of them was Josh Hinkle, which is Jake Hinkle, who was in the hospital, his brother. And these people became, real good friends of mine, but I've never, ever had anybody ever say a bad thing about Jason Potter, and I've never seen Jason Potter not with a smile on his face. Yeah. That's what kind of guy that guy was. So,
Coach, I met him for the first time last Monday on the 22nd when you hosted the first Lake Michigan Conference golf match of the season. And it was, I think, maybe his first golf match coaching. And I only spoke to him a couple times briefly, but he was always smiling. And he had a comforting way. I was watching him work with his players, and he had a very comforting way with those players. And someone told me that his day job was that he worked as a counselor.
That's correct, at the Shawano Center. So he already was handling troubled kids, trying to help them rehabilitate and straighten their lives out. And what a tough job that is. So when you do that job and smile, you're a quality human being, and that's all I can tell you about Jason Potter. I mean, we lost a wonderful human being, and I'm sure his family misses him, but I know the community misses him, and even the people that he touched, just for a day or two, really, really are going to miss Mr. Potter. I just, Rick, I did see you here that day, and he was new, but the coaches all supported him. You saw him at the table in the middle of my club.
Yes.
They were, and you know what? He was eager to learn. You could see it in his eye. Mm-hmm. He was helpful. He was, energetic, which is huge, and in life itself. And, Rick, you just saw a little bit of him, and I'm sure that you could tell that he was a quality human being. So
absolutely. Well, Mike Fortino, thank you for joining us. We know you have been getting calls from all over the country, and you have a big event tomorrow night, the Community Vigil, which some 600-plus people on Facebook have responded to the two young ladies from Grayling who set that up. So we know you're busy. And, Mike, if there's anything that we can do here, if there's anything that the community of Northern Michigan can do, certainly do not hesitate to let us know, and we'll certainly pass that along. Anything we can do to help out not only the community of Grayling, but also the community of Kalkaska that is also suffering tonight as well.
Well, that means a lot to us. And, we're overwhelmed with a lot right now. I know at one time, we're able to get together and go, what can we do? And we will ask for help then at that point. But to ask for it now, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I guess closure and healing is the best thing right now. And I'm sure the Potter family and the Menard family, listen, my heart goes off to them people. So I really appreciate you having me on the air tonight.
Okay, Mike, we'll see you tomorrow night, and thank you so very much under these very difficult circumstances for joining us this evening.
God bless you to all. Thank you.
God bless you as well. Well, there, Mike Fortino, the head golf professional, as we learned, just joined the Grayling Country Club. And tomorrow night, Tom and Mike and the Northern Michigan community, please go out and support the vigil that they're having. 6 o'clock, get there early. We'll have information on our Facebook page. We'll try to get it up on our website as well. But I know there's some businesses in the Grayling area that are selling the paper luminaries.
Right.
And so we certainly want to get as many people out to support that very small community of Grayling that's very sports-minded, very close-knit, a community that has a military base that supports, our men and women overseas. And we just need to reach out and help this community and also the community of Kalkaska. We have to take a break. I tried hard, but Tom and Mike, we just weren't able to go commercial free this evening. and that's not the way it works in this radio business. But we have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will play the interview from just a little while ago. Dallas Johnson, one of the members of the Grayling golf team, will join us. I recorded a conversation that I had with him from his hospital room, and he has a message to his classmates and teachers at Grayling, and we'll hear that next here on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan.
You're listening to High School Sports Center on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio, Northern Michigan.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, save every day like a treasure and then again.
You have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. This is High School Sports Center. Rick Coates here in our Traverse City studios along with Mike Misico, the sports editor of the Kalkaska Leader, who covers the Lake Michigan Conference in great detail. And then our director of operations for ESPN Radio, Tom Devitt, up in Petoskey. You know, Tom and Mike, we've dedicated this whole show tonight to the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska, and we've spent quite a bit of time talking about the Grayling golf team, the coach, and the players, and we're going to continue to do that. And we want to open up the phone lines as soon as we play the conversation that I had earlier this evening with Dallas Johnson, 15-year-old member of the Grayling golf team. We're going to open the phone lines up at 231-929-1067. Not only do we want the opportunity to be able to learn more about Coach Potter, Louis Menard, the 18-year-old member of the team who lost his life, but also about Cassandra Stapleton, 27 years old, went to Kalkaska High School, played soccer, was a cheerleader. We'll learn more about her. I spoke to her cheerleading coach earlier this afternoon, as well as a cousin of hers, and they'll share some thoughts. But we certainly want to get to know some of the other players, and we want to open it up to students, faculty from both schools, anyone else that knows any of the victims and those that are in the hospital. If you want to just simply give well wishes, thoughts, prayers. We do know that they are listening in the hospital this evening, that they got radios over there. So we certainly want to be able to relay those messages for those. Tom Devitt, it's very difficult tonight to do a show like this, because typically what we would be doing is celebrating the athletic accomplishments, and we had a lot of things to cover tonight. We had a player sign his national letter of intent, and his father will be joining us later. He's a psychologist, Mike Hayes. Dr. Mike Hayes will help us put some things into perspective. He told me off the air that it was bittersweet for him and his family and his son based on what happened on Monday. But one thing that was put into perspective today is that the Grayling schools, their athletic community and the community of Grayling told the Lake Michigan Conference and their other teams to move forward with the golf conference for the rest of the season, and to go ahead and hold the next golf event, which will be this Friday, and it'll be at Grandview in Kalkaska, which is at the scene of where the accident took place. There will be a moment of silence, and that'll take place. And life does go on, and I think one way, Tom, that we all, when people ask, hey, what can we do, you may not know any of these victims, but to go out and do something good for somebody else in honor of everyone that lost their life in this terrible tragedy.
Absolutely. And since we've been doing this program, we've kind of ingratiated ourselves and been part of the Northern Michigan sports community. I mean, you and I have followed it for years, but we've gotten especially close doing this show, and we got to know a lot of the Grayling football players. They had an outstanding season, their basketball team, and this affects everybody that's involved with Northern Michigan sports, and certainly affects us here and obviously the people in Grayling. So, anything we can do to help people in this situation, and certainly for sure, we will do that.
My boss here at the radio station said, Rick, how are you guys going to prepare for the radio show tonight? And I said, very simple. I'm getting 2 boxes of Kleenex. That's the only preparation that I took for this evening. Well, Tom, we're going to go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I was just going to ask you, because you were essentially at ground zero in this. I got a few texts from you while this was going on. You have a son that plays golf and was playing at the same tournament that the Grayling kids were going to be. What was that like for you when you got that message, and what was the reaction of everybody at the tournament?
Well, Tom, as you know, when the kids are told something, I mean, when the call came to the person running, it was at the Grand Traverse Resort. That was the second Lake Michigan Conference golf match of the season. They play 4, and then they have a conference championship match, and then they go into districts. They were simply just taking a moment of silence. Ken Horniak, who is the golf coach at Traverse City St. Francis, they were the host team. That's their home course, so they were the host team. He led a moment of silence and simply told all of the players there that the Grayling golf team had been in an accident. Now, we're right along the highway there, so we could hear ambulances going by. We didn't know if anything was related to the accident or not, and an accident could simply have meant a flat tire, so they proceeded with the golf match. As we got to the first tee, I was following my son to start with, and then getting ready to move around. I quickly sent a text message to Mike Misico, who they had, over the police scanner, heard about the accident but didn't know that it was the Grayling golf team. So he informed his editor, who was on the scene, that it was the Grayling golf team. And then from there, we quickly learned that there were deaths. And I have to say that, the sportsmanship that was put forward by the players out there on the course and the coaches from all of the schools, Tom and Mike, it didn't take them more than a second to all agree that out of respect to the Grayling community, the Grayling golf team, that they were going to cancel. They had played about 5 or 6 holes, and nobody felt that it was right to move on. And the kids were distraught. Some of these boys that walked off, played golf just the Monday before with Louis Menard, who lost his life. And as I mentioned earlier, we heard that Tyler Summers is in a coma as we speak. And he was the one who played golf with my son last week. And so I spent 18 holes walking with Tyler last week, and the kid was just, as all young kids are, full of life. So these young men who were walking off the course, and Mike Misico, you were there as they were walking off the course, and you could see it in their faces.
It was definitely a serene, not serene, excuse my slip there, but surreal situation. You could see as words began to spread. And you could see as these young men were walking off the courses, even the ADs that were there and the coaches, and it was, we talked about this before, Rick, that golf is different than, say, football and many other club sports, team sports at this level. It's a very tight-knit group. They're small teams, and they walk 18 holes together on any given day, and they know each other very well, and it's not cutthroat, rivalry. These guys actually help each other on the course. They are friends. They're not rivals. They are friends, and you could see that. You could see the sadness in these kids as they came off the resort that day, and it was tough.
Well, we're going to, throughout the evening, we'll go a little bit past the 9 o'clock hour if we have to. And again, we just want to let people know, 231-929-1067. Please, if you know anyone that was involved in the accident on Monday, please call us. Let not only us, but a lot of people are listening from around northern Michigan. And this is your opportunity, if you were close to any one of these individuals, to share something about their lives and give some well wishes to Mason Craig, Gray, Tyler Summers, Jake Hinkle, Gunnar Metzer, and Dallas Johnson, who all are in the hospital recovering from this serious accident that they had on Monday. Also, Rhonda Mitchell, who's from the Kalkaska-Mansalona area. She's also, her daughter lost her life, Cassie Stapleton, and she was in the other vehicle. She's also recovering in the hospital, and we want to hear from Rhonda's friends and family as well this evening. Well, we're going to go right now, as promised, and I have to give the kid credit. I know the Johnson family, Dallas Johnson, and when I saw it in the paper, I thought, well, maybe his name isn't the kid that I knew. Maybe his name wasn't Dallas, because they had him listed as a 26-year-old assistant coach for the Grayling team. But though those types of mistakes are made, but Dallas is actually, I think, 15. His sister Mallory worked for me. I knew his parents are just stand-up. His mom and dad are great people. I've watched Dallas play basketball. He wasn't a part of the golf match a week ago, but Dallas took a few minutes to call us just before the show, and we really want to thank him, and so we're going to go to that right now. Good evening. Joining us on the telephone from his hospital room is Dallas Johnson, one of the members of the Grayling boys golf team who was involved in the accident. And Dallas is there recovering right now. And Dallas, maybe you can tell us what sort of injuries you sustained from the accident on Monday. I
have some cracked bones in my pelvic area. And then up in my collarbone, I hurt that pretty bad, too.
Mm-hmm. I know there's been some reports out there that you're 26 years old, but you're actually like 15 or 16, right?
Yeah, I'm only 15. I don't know why they put 26 in the paper.
Right,
I'm definitely not the assistant coach.
Right, I think some people thought that you were the assistant coach, but you're actually... Are you a sophomore or a junior?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore. So is this your first year on the varsity golf team?
Actually, no. I played many matches last year and got my varsity letter last year. And actually, my buddy James played in my spot last week in the Monday match. That's why I wasn't there. And we had about the same score, so we switched out for this one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you have quite a few young men on the golf team, right?
Yeah, we have 20, 30 kids.
Wow, that's a great program. You know, one of the things, I was at the match that you were not at, and of course, as you very well know, I know your sister, Mallory, and as well as your parents. And so I didn't see you there, but I got a chance to talk to your coach, and he was so enthusiastic and excited. He came to me a couple of times knowing that I was with ESPN Radio here, and he listens to the program. And so he was very, very excited about coaching. And Dallas, what can you tell us, about your coach, Coach Potter?
I liked him a lot. He was a really cool guy. I mean, I knew him before he was even coaching us because my buddy James, it was his cousin, and I've been out on the boat with him and stuff, so I was really happy to see when he was coaching because I know he's a cool guy. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was going to be a really fun year.
Yeah. Have they told you how long you're going to have to stay in the hospital for?
I've probably got 3 to 5 more days. I've got to get walking before I can get out of here. And I stood up today and sat on a different couch, so that was cool.
You know, I'm sure you've had an opportunity to talk to some of your classmates. I know your family's there, but a lot of your classmates are listening right now to the program this evening, and a lot of young athletes and parents and others from around northern Michigan are listening. And Dallas, I just want to give you an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to all of your classmates who are praying and thinking for you, and everyone else here in northern Michigan that's thoughts and prayers going out to you and the rest of your team.
I'd just like to say that all the people who came to see me, it's really nice, and it means a lot that they can take the time to come and see me. And also my girlfriend, Bailey.
Okay, Dallas, you speedy recovery for you. We'll look forward to seeing you out there on the athletic field in the very near future. And best of luck to you, Dallas. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to you and your classmates and everyone else involved with the Grayling golf team.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Have a good night, Dallas. Thank you for calling and checking in.
Yep. All right, bye.
Well, he's got more courage than I have. I tell you that. I just, again, thank you, Dallas. I know that just, for so many people out there, Tom and Mike, to be able to hear his voice and the strength in his voice means so much to all of his classmates and everyone in that community of Grayling.
That's huge. That's awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah. It's not, and the thing is, you think about the people who've lost their lives, yes, but he's in the hospital there with people who are in really bad shape. I mean, when Mike just told us, golf pro at Grayling said there's a couple of kids still in comas. There's people are going to be affected by this the rest of their lives, and there's a lot of recovery still left. So a tough kid, definitely.
Yeah, so Dallas, we again thank you so much for joining us, and we want now to open up the phones as we've promised. 231-929-1067. You have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. It's High School Sports Center. We canceled everything that we had planned for tonight. It was very easy for us to do, and we want to just give this as an opportunity as a public forum for the community of Northern Michigan to grieve these losses. And after the top of the hour, we're going to hear a lot about Cassie Stapleton, 27 years old, from Kalkaska, a mother of three, and she was a cheerleader at Kalkaska High School. We're going to hear from her coach, Sharon Stockford. We're also going to hear from Dawn Baggs, who was she's a cousin of Cassie Stapleton, to get to learn a little bit more about her. But we certainly want to open the phones right up, and what we want you to do is just identify who you are when you call. Good evening, ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. Who's calling?
Justice Gentilla.
Justin?
Justice.
Oh, Justice. Yeah, you're over. We know you very well. Just you're a member of several of the sports teams over there at Grayling. Good evening.
How are you? I was visiting yesterday, and I got some info about everybody's injuries and kind of up to date on everything.
We had Mike join us, Mike Fortino. He is the head golfer.
I listened to that. They kind of I was going to discuss about Gunner and about Tyler and Summers and Jake, and give them a little bit more info on what's happening and what days potentially people can go see them and everything.
That would be fantastic. All right, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead and give us that information. What we need you to do is turn down your radio, because we're on a delay, so you're hearing things slower than we're actually saying them.
Okay.
That'll make it easier for you to speak. So go ahead and provide us with any details that you possibly can.
Tyler Summers, I went to see him yesterday. He had a couple tubes in his head and in his mouth, feeding tubes. He's trying to. They said on Facebook they were talking about in the morning, approximately around 2:30 a.m. He had he moved his arm and a twitch or something, and I saw him, and no one's it's very cautious around him. You can't touch him, but I would like to praise his family and everything that they have done for him. And also with Jake, I went to see Jake yesterday right before he went into surgery because of his leg. He woke up prior to that from his induced coma that they put him in, and then he came out of that. They had to put him back into the induced coma for the surgery. And after that, they took him out this morning, approximately probably 10, 11, and he was doing responsives, touching his head, moving his arms, scratching his head, and he was responding to his mom, his dad, his sister, all of his family members.
Well, that's great news. Joining us on the telephone, Grayling Viking, Justice Gentilla. Justice, what are you a sophomore or junior?
I am a junior currently.
Okay. And are you yourself currently playing a sport this spring?
Yes, I am. I am playing baseball.
What are some of the things that the Grayling Vikings? What are you doing to honor your classmates? As you probably, maybe you're not aware of this, but there are student athletes around the country that are putting Grayling on their anything from their shoes to their uniforms to their baseball hats. Kids are putting athletic tape out west for at the track meet, writing Grayling on their. So a lot of kids from around the country are honoring and putting their thoughts and prayers out. And what's going on over with your classmates?
Our classmates took a lot of time out of their days. We didn't have any action within our school. A lot of people didn't go to school. They showed up to the hospital, which was a nice considerate thing to do. Mm-hmm. Some of them couldn't see them, which was kind of hard for them too. But everybody's prayers and thoughts were with everybody when they were there. I got to see everybody, so it was nice to see everybody and see all my great friends. And it means a lot to see their parents. I'd like to shout out to Craig and Jody Hinkle. They're like my other family. And Josie and Carson, they mean so much to me. And Jake, I know he's so strong within everything. Mm-hmm. And I know he'll get out of whatever happens to him.
Well, Justice, we really appreciate you joining us tonight and bringing us up to speed on your classmates, and best to you and to everyone in Viking Nation there. And if there's anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to contact us, okay?
Yeah, it means a lot to our community and everybody to see what's going on. Grayling sports and athletics are big in Grayling. People have a lot of names and everything for school. Our school is number one in academics, and we've made it to many regionals, district finals, and all different kinds of sports. And especially Jake Hinkle, he as a freshman last year, he made it to almost states last year, and he had a great shot of going to states this year.
Yeah, well, Justice, thanks so much, and we'll certainly stay in touch with you, and we'll look forward to chatting with you this fall when we know the Grayling Vikings football team will be back in action.
All right,
thanks,
great.
Justice.
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, we're going to go to the next phone line here. Good evening. You got it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. Who's calling?
This is Dale Metzer, Gunnar Metzer's dad, one of the golf team members.
Yes, thank you so much for calling. Dale, it was a little bit we cut out there. Dale Metzer, he is the father of Gunnar Metzer. First of all, our thoughts and prayers to you and your family. And how is Gunnar doing as we speak now?
Right now, he's doing good considering. Mm-hmm. Like I said, first of all, I'd like to say our condolences to the families of the folks that did not make it out alive, and to the people that are still struggling to get better. I wanted to say that first, but anyway, Gunnar is home, and you've got a big support group here, and we want to thank them. And we'd also like to thank the community and our family and friends. It's been awesome. It's been such a help. It's just, can't explain with words, but would really want to call in. Everybody's here sitting there listening to it, and it's awesome that you guys are doing this for them. And, like I said, just really neat.
Yeah. Dale, tell us a little bit about your son, Gunnar. We don't really have a lot of information about him. What grade is he in?
He is a sophomore. This is his first time on the golf team, and this was actually his first meet on varsity. And so he's pretty excited, and, as they all were, because obviously the season being delayed, and they were just getting started, and new coach, and, just he was really excited to get going and glad to make the team, and as far as his injuries and stuff, he has a broken collarbone, a cracked C2 vertebrae, got a concussion, and his face has got a little bit of road rash going, but he had a hard time talking because of the braces and stuff, so I guess I kind of stepped up for him, but, he wants to let everybody know thanks for everything, and
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking time out to call us tonight, Dale. I know it means so much to for everyone listening tonight to know that Gunner is on the mend. Obviously, some serious injuries, but is home, and so we really appreciate it, Dale. And we'll check in with Gunner down the road and speedy recovery, and we'll see you tomorrow night at the vigil.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, that was Dale Metzer, the father of Gunner Metzer, that we learned is a sophomore over there, first year on the Grayling Viking golf team. The phones are ringing off the hook here, Tom, and we really appreciate people reaching out to us. It's coming up on the top of the hour, 231-929-1067. If you'd like to check in, we are going to have to take a break here in just a second. We'll wait and find out. Tom, I know we're dedicating this show, obviously, to Grayling and Kalkaska and giving this as an opportunity for the community of Northern Michigan to grieve and get things off of their chest. But is there anything that we need to let the people know specifically about ESPN Radio before we take the next call?
No, it's just no more than we are going to be covering the NBA playoffs as we have. We'll do that this weekend with a few games, and we'll also be covering Major League Baseball throughout the season, too. I know that's secondary to what we're doing here, but that's what's going on at ESPN.
Okay, we're going to take one more call before we take a quick break. And again, if you'd like to join us tonight, 231-929-1067. And joining us on the telephone right now, we've been getting a lot of people that have been texting us and calling and saying, what can we do to help out the community of Grayling and the golf team and the families involved? And I believe Monica Leslie is joining us on the phone that might have some answers. Good evening, Monica.
Hi.
Hi. Are you a student over there at Grayling High School?
I was a student back in 2007, yes. So all these kids that are, not all of them, but some of them I used to babysit when they were little babies.
Mm-hmm. I believe I saw your name when I was online. People were asking what they could do to help out. And are you involved with the GoFundMe?
Yes,
okay,
I am.
well,
I actually created that. It is the second fundraiser I've done in the past probably month. Grayling has had a couple tragic incidents in the past month, and it's the best I can do living up in Traverse City. I try to get Traverse City community to help, along with Kalkaska and Grayling.
Okay, well, I know that the whole community of Northern Michigan, the competition ends on the playing field, and we're all about all of these young men and women, and that's what we do here at ESPN, and that's what all of the coaches, all of the teachers do. And while there's the friendly rivalries and the competition that takes place on the field, Tom Devitt and I have spoke to this a lot. These kids, they're all connected to one another, and so I firmly believe, Monica, that everyone in Northern Michigan will step up in any way they possibly can to help out not only the community of Grayling, but certainly the community of Kalkaska and all of the families involved. And you explain how people can find, we'll have it on our Facebook page and website, but explain what is going to happen with the fund and how people can go. And I saw that already you just launched this and people have already been making donations.
Yes, I started this up on our support group, on the Thoughts and Prayers and the Grieving support group. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get contact with all of the families. If I can get information on my Facebook from Cassie's family, I would love to give them a little cut of this too. I want to individually split it up evenly for all the families because, we're from Grayling, Traverse City. They're staying up here every night, not leaving the bedside of their sons, nephews, sister, brother, whatever. But I wanted to help out and give them whatever they need. If they need, gas cards, food cards, a stay at a hotel, for one night, whatever. I just want them to have no worries right now, but to be with their loved ones.
Let me ask you, Leslie, about you knew the coach personally, right? Jason Potter?
Yeah, I'm actually the beverage cart, or I was last summer, the beverage cart girl at the Grayling Country Club, and I met Jason, and we actually went out for a few dinners and drinks and got to know him really well. He was always laughing. He loved Josh Hinkle and going out with Chet Wheeler, all of them. It was a great group to go out and be able to be a part of that and always laugh and smile at them.
Well, Monica, we really appreciate you joining us tonight. People can go to ESPN Radio on Facebook, and that'll link you to, the various different sites that you're talking about. And you can go to the GoFundMe.com/GHSBoysGolf.com and make a contribution. And this is very generous and kind of you to think about these families who right now are spending money staying in hotel rooms and taking time off from work, rightfully so, to be next to their loved ones. So thank you so much, Monica.
Oh, I wanted to mention one more thing. I also have buckets around town, especially at the Glens on 8th Street in Traverse City. If anybody doesn't feel right doing the online donations, I completely understand. There are buckets in there. You can go drop off your pennies, dimes, nickels, whatever. That will get to them as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Monica.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, let's stay right with the phones here, and we're going to now go to a senior at Grayling High School, Angie Rouston. Angie's boyfriend is Jake Hinkle. Angie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and you just left the hospital?
Yeah, I'm on my way home now.
Okay, well, be safe. We really don't want people driving and talking on the telephone, but...
my parents are driving. So.
Okay, well, thank you for reassuring me. I got kids your age, so just get concerned about accidents. Angie, tell us, and the people listening tonight, how Jake is doing.
Well, he's really improving, and he's doing really good, and it's hard to see him like this, but he's going to make it. He's strong, and it's hard seeing him because golf was everything to him, and it's going to be hard, but...
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, where were you when you first heard the news that he was in an accident?
I was at school, and in my 5th hour class, they just kind of came over and said that there was an accident, and there was a tragedy, and... no one really knew what to think. No, there were rumors and everything. We had heard there were 3 deaths, and the worst goes through your head, and you don't know what to think, and you just kind of go numb.
Mm-hmm. Jake, your boyfriend Jake Hinkle is a senior, and tell us a little. Pardon?
He's a sophomore.
Oh, he's a sophomore. I apologize. We're going with a lot of information that we got from the newspaper, and as we learned from another sophomore, his classmate Dallas Johnson, that Dallas is not 26. That'd be tough to be a 26-year-old sophomore in high school and be the assistant coach and be on the team at the same time. So he's a sophomore. When do you know when he'll be getting out of the hospital? Have they?
Well, he's still in a medically, or he's sedated.
Okay.
But he squeezed my hand today, and he responded to his mom, and he responded to the nurses, and when they asked if he was in pain, and he nodded his head, and so everything is going really well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so things are going perfect for recovery right now.
Okay. Well, Angie, thank you so much for letting us know, and thoughts and prayers and best wishes to you. We know how difficult this is because we know you feel helpless, but you're doing the best thing that you possibly can, and that's just simply going there and letting Jake know that you love him and support him and you're there for him. So thank you so much, Angie, and best to you and all of your classmates, and we'll all see you tomorrow night at the vigil at the Grayling Country Club.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're just going to keep going to the phones. I know I'm behind Tom Devitt, but this is, I just feel like we've got to keep talking to everyone that calls. And joining us on the telephone right now, Dennis Mansfield. He's your boss.
Yeah, I better watch myself.
All right. Dennis, thank you for taking time out to join us. When I was at the golf match on Monday, I sent a text right away to Mike Misico, and he responded back to me that you were... Oh, are you still there? Do we lose you? I'm sorry, Dennis, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. Dennis Mansfield, the editor of the Kalkaska Leader, and we were just letting everyone know that I had sent a text message when I had learned about the tragedy right away to Mike Misico, and Mike texted me back and said that you were there at the scene, and so we'd like to get your perspective. And thanks for joining us again, Dennis Mansfield on the phone. He's the editor of the Kalkaska Leader.
One, I just wanted to give a shout-out or a bit of applause to the crews and volunteers of Kalkaska Township Fire Department Station Number 7, Cold Spring Excelsiors Fire and Rescue Station 6, the professionals that are working for the Michigan State Police and the Kalkaska County Sheriff's Department. That is not an easy job, especially when you're called to that kind of scene and that kind of tragedy, and they handle themselves so professionally. Community Kalkaska should be very proud of their emergency personnel, as well as North Flight, both air and ground units. So they did a great job. So
excellent. Hey, thanks. So yeah, you were there obviously. So firsthand. You know how tough things like this are, Dennis, and I think that's great given some just due to these guys, because that is a very, very tough position for any human to be in, and they do a great job. We see it all the time, we hear it all the time, but. So we appreciate you calling in, and hopefully I'm not in trouble because I'm supposed to be at work right now. Is that right?
We're probably supposed to both be at work, but who knows?
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
Well, I'll just forget that I called in. But yeah, those guys really deserve it. I mean, a lot of the times the calls that they handle up here are shall we call minor. Hopefully they're minor. This is one of those times where they were called upon to. Really to a tragedy. I mean, it was horrific. There's no other way to describe it. So
right. Listen, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, there we go. Your boss, Dennis Mansfield, joining us from the Kalkaska Leader. Well, we're going to take a quick break. You've got it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. It's 8:11. We suspended our typical coverage for tonight, rightfully so. A very difficult time. Our Northern Michigan community is grieving. And when we come back, we're going to learn a little bit about Cassie Stapleton. Cassie Stapleton losing her life, 27 years old, a graduate of Kalkaska High School. She was a cheerleader there. We're going to hear from her former cheerleading coach, also from her cousin. We're also going to check in with Mike Hayes, standout football player at Central Michigan University. Parlayed his athletic career into becoming a psychologist, a very well-respected psychologist here in Northern Michigan. His son, Connor Hayes, earlier this week made his commitment to the University of Pittsburgh. He's a junior at Traverse City West, and we'll get Mike's perspective from a psychological standpoint in regards to how we all can handle this tragedy, this loss, and that. We'll have that and more next here on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan.
You're listening to High School Sports Center on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio, Northern Michigan.
You have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. This is High School Sports Center. Rick Coates here in the Traverse City studios along with Mike Misico, our Director of Operations, Tom Devitt, up in Petoskey. We come to you tonight with heavy hearts and thoughts. We're all fathers here in the studio, and this is tough. So we understand what those parents are going through over in Grayling and Kalkaska. And we're going to continue to take your phone calls here at 231-929-1067. Louis Menard, senior, Grayling High School, just turned 18 on Sunday. kid was full of life, and we heard from Justice Gentilla telling us that one of the things that they really pride themselves on over there at Grayling High School, Tom and Mike, is not only their athletic success, but their academic success. And Louis Menard was he was an example of that, a 4-point student. And he wanted to be an engineer, and he was going to go to the University of Michigan. And so this one's for you, Louis. Louis Menard, 18. Boy, tough, Tom. Everybody knows, that listens to the show on a regular basis, that Mike Misico and I are Spartans, you're a Wolverine, but certainly in Louis' honor, I'll be pulling for the University of Michigan Wolverines
no doubt
all year long. Joining us on the telephone right now is Rich Calkins. He does color commentary for Grayling Sports, and certainly knows all of these kids in this Grayling community real well. Rich, thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome here, Rick, during this real tragic time over here in Grayling.
Rich, start wherever you want to start. You're a lot closely connected to the Grayling community than we are. We certainly get over and cover what we can. Some of the kids and coaches have been on our show, but give us your perspective from the Grayling community.
Okay, just, obviously, our whole world was turned upside down on Monday, early Monday morning there, and when news started to filter out, about this horrible tragedy, we just tried to gather as much information as we could as to what had transpired. But obviously, myself growing up in this community, I know every one of these kids. I went to school with all of their parents and played baseball with some of their dads, and we just we're a close-knit community, and we just tried to get as much information as quickly as we could, and tried to rally around, come together as a community, and stay strong for everybody.
Tom, hold on. Sorry, Tom. We've lost Tom. I'm very sorry. We're back connected to you. We just got disconnected. Sorry, Tom Devitt.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I just want to ask you, some people have expressed surprise and of the outpouring from the Grayling community and the support, but I'm sure that as a person who's been there for a long time, it doesn't surprise you what the community's capable of.
Well, and it just shows, truly what Northern Michigan and really the whole United States, what we're all about. By you guys over in Traverse City, we know that you guys are, we're big-time rivals with Traverse City St. Francis on both the fields and on the basketball courts. But by you guys doing this tonight, it shows you we really are one giant community. And we truly appreciate you guys doing that. We just heard Roscommon High School is going to have a Green and White Day on Friday in honor of Grayling. The Gaylord girls softball team today and yesterday wore green and white on their blue and gold uniforms. And so it's just truly amazing, the outpouring of support from, again, not just the Grayling community, but all around Northern Michigan and beyond. It's been truly amazing, and it's the whole reason why we live up here in Northern Michigan like we do.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. We've talked, and we heard from people all the way up in the UP and people all the way down from Manistee that have reached out to us, Rich. And one of the things that Tom and I have been saying since we started High School Sports Center back last fall is that the competition really ends on the playing field. And these kids, parents may stay competitive after the game or the match ends, but the kids, I saw this on the golf course last week. It was my first opportunity to actually see a high school golf match as I walked and followed several of the kids, including my own son. And they're all friends. I mean, they're competing against each other, but I know the kids on the basketball court, they play AAU together. On the football field, they head off, and on the girls softball, they head off and play together in the off season. And so these kids they're friends off the playing court and field.
Yeah, they truly are, Rick. And, I mean, you're absolutely right. And it's amazing, how in the game of golf, how it brings everyone together. It's such a unique sport for people that aren't familiar with it. You're responsible to call penalties upon yourself if you do a certain thing wrong. And it's just golf is such a unique sport, and it's a gentleman's game, and you have to, you have to be honorable and forthright. It's a great sport, and all these kids have all these virtues, and obviously Jason Potter did as well as our golf coach. And I just wanted to mention, too, also the kids of Grayling. What a tremendous group of kids we have here. When word filtered out about Louis Menard passing away, his truck obviously was still parked at the parking lot in Grayling, and they went and got all their University of Michigan garb that they could find and decorated his truck in honor of him. And I also wanted to mention that Tyler Summers, who is still obviously struggling to get back on his feet here right now. That kid is an Eagle Scout, and what a tremendous young man he is.
Yeah, let me tell you, Tyler Summers was who my son was partnered up with, along with a gentleman from the Harbor Springs golf team and the Elk Rapids golf team last week at the Grayling Country Club. It was my son's first match. He was a freshman at Traverse City St. Francis, nervous, and I want to go back to what you said, and now knowing that Tyler Summers is an Eagle Scout, the kid was so respectful, and even though he's competing against the other boys, because this was his home course, he was saying, hey, you want to hit it here, you want to hit it there. I mean, it's you don't see that typically on the sporting field. He was a tremendous sport. I didn't say really two words to the young man. You're not supposed to on the golf course as a parent, except for a good shot, but what a delightful young man he was, and a true sportsman.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Rick. I mean, this is a kid just coming off of our basketball season.
Mm-hmm.
We had a very successful season this year, and this was a kid as a junior. He's 6'4", 6'5", a lot of height. Didn't get a tremendous amount of playing time this year, but those are the kind of kids that you have the ultimate respect for, because they're showing up to practice every single day, working hard, working their tails off for little or no glory whatsoever, because they're not starting, they're not getting a lot of playing time, but those kids are showing up and working hard every single day, and that's the kind of kid that Tyler Summers is. And it just shows you everything about him, and that goes for all these kids as well.
And speaking of the kids, I was going to ask you about the coach. If you've had any personal interaction with him, if you can tell us a little bit about Jason Potter, if you have met him.
Oh, absolutely, sure. I know Jason very well. We would get together. We have a group of us that get together for chicken wings on an occasional Tuesday night after their bowling league, and Jason was part of that group, and we're going to get together tonight in honor of him. And just a great kid. He worked out at Shawano Center, as you had mentioned earlier, Mike Fortino had mentioned, and I had worked out there myself for 5 years, and it's a very tough job working with juvenile delinquents, and just a tremendous kid, just a true giver in all of his life, from his personal life to his professional life. Obviously very excited this year to take a hold of this golf team. He knew there was a lot of talent on this golf team, and he was really excited about it, and he had high aspirations of taking these kids to the state finals, and he's just a wonderful individual. We were just over at Justin and Jody Potter's, the mom and dad of Jason, and there's about 30 or 40 friends and family members over there helping support that family right now as they're going through this tough time. Just a tremendous Grayling family, both raised here, and just great family members, great kids all the way around. They're just outstanding individuals.
Joining us on the telephone, Rich Calkins, who is part of the Grayling Sports broadcasting team over there, covering football and basketball, and knows the community real well, and an alum of the Grayling. And Rich, thank you so very much, and our thoughts and prayers go out to you. And I look forward to meeting you in person tomorrow night at the vigil at the Country Club.
Yeah, well, hey, Rick, thanks again. True classy move by you guys to do this, and look forward to meeting you tomorrow night.
All right. Thanks so much, Rich.
Thank you.
Oh, Tom, Mike, I mean, this is, I guess what we're here for, and we're here for the kids and for these communities, and it's been we started off High School Sports Center. The very first broadcast, just before Tom Devitt joined us, we started off honoring a great athlete and a great football player, a great student from Kingsley High School, Justin Hansen, who lost his life. He was a hero, taking out a high-level Al-Qaeda operative, and that's how we started High School Sports Center. And then along the way this year, we lost a true supporter, somebody who really helped expand the coverage of high school sports here in northern Michigan. That was Scott Michael Traeger from TV 9 and 10, who in his mid-40s lost his life way too soon. And now Tom and Mike, this tragedy, and we know that this community of northern Michigan will pull together, do what they can to help the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska, help these families out. And we'll want to continue to honor everyone who lost their lives and those that are recovering by doing something good. And whether it's being a good sport on the playing field, being a good sport in the stands, or going and doing something in your community, or making your way to Kalkaska or Grayling and doing something to honor those who passed away on Monday. Tough, Tom. Tough, Mike.
Oh, it's draining. This whole broadcast, you try and keep it together. And I just, when he was just talking about the truck, I pulled it up online and printed. Yeah, sure enough, his Louis Menard's truck was in the parking lot still, and the students had decorated. There's an American flag. There's Michigan slogans, flowers all over it. And this is tough. It really is. I feel sorry for, I think about the parents. I don't know how you deal with this as someone who's not a family member. You don't want to be too much, but you still want to be there for those people, and it's really difficult time.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break here on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. Our phone lines are open. We really appreciate everyone that has checked in with us tonight to bring us up to speed. We've had people who've just left the hospital. We appreciate Justin Gentilla joining us, one of the athletes and students there at Grayling High School, bringing us up to speed. Mike Fortino, the head golf professional at the Grayling Country Club, whose nephew is still in the hospital, and Mike also bringing us up to speed. We want to thank Dallas Johnson, the courage that he had tonight to call us and tell us, how he's doing. That's very tough after what he just went through, and to see his coach die and his teammate die, and to be in the hospital and be one of the lucky ones while two of his teammates remain in critical condition. And we want to thank Dale Metzer also, Mr. Metzer, calling on behalf of his son Gunnar, who was released from the hospital and is back home recovering, but still sustained serious injuries. And Gunnar wanted to, let all of his classmates know, and his teachers and the community of Grayling, that he's very grateful for their thoughts and prayers, and he's looking forward to getting back to school. So if you'd like to join us, 231-929-1067. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to learn about Cassandra Stapleton, losing her life at the age of 27, leaving behind 3 children. She's a Kalkaska High School graduate, and we're going to hear from her cheerleading coach next.
Again.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up.
You got it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. It's High School Sports Center. Tom Devitt in our Petoskey studios, Rick Coates and Mike Missico here in Traverse City, and all of Northern Michigan here to raise up the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska amidst this terrible tragedy that the whole community of Northern Michigan has been grieving and suffering, and we're opening our phone lines up tonight if you'd like to talk about any of the students from Grayling, share information about them. We'd like to get to know each one of them better. We'd like to get to know the coach, Coach Potter, who lost his life. Jason Potter. We'd like to know more about Cassandra Stapleton, and we will learn more about her here in just a few minutes. And then, of course, Louis Menard, we've been learning a lot about, 18 years old, losing his life as well. And our thoughts and prayers go out to Mason Cray, Tyler Summers, Jake Hinkle, and Gunnar Metzer and Dallas Johnson, all who survived this terrible tragedy and accident, as well as Rhonda Mitchell, who lost her daughter, Cassandra Stapleton, in the accident. Rhonda is currently in the hospital recovering as well. And then, remarkably, the 3-year-old daughter of Cassie Stapleton, apparently in a car seat, pretty much got through this with just a couple of bumps and bruises and scratches. So now we are going to go to the telephones, and joining us on the telephone here is Meredith Anderson, and you're a teacher, Meredith, at Grayling High School?
Yes, Rick, I am. This is my 14th year at Grayling High School.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us. And Meredith, we'll let you say what it is that you'd like to say on behalf of your school and your students there and the rest of the faculty.
Sure, thank you. I'd really like to give a shout out to the teachers and staff at GHS. What a wonderful group we have there, been very supportive. A bereavement team from Mercy Hospital was over at the school, and then also several clergy from the area churches were there yesterday as well for students and staff in need.
All right, Meredith. Hey, Mike Missico here, and I was just curious, how is the atmosphere in school, the student body, and even the faculty, all you guys? How are you doing? How have the last couple days gone there?
Yeah, yesterday was really tough. I think we're starting to come around, trying to get things back to normal as much as possible. There are still counselors that are in the building for staff and students alike. If they feel the need to talk to anyone or just make a card or a poster, the library yesterday was set aside to do just that. Kids and faculty members filtering in, talking, sharing stories, sharing well wishes for everybody that was involved.
Let me ask you, did you have interaction, or I'm sure you did, with the kids that were involved in this accident? If you can tell us a little bit about them, maybe a story or two.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, Gunnar and Dallas this year are members of what is called our Student Senate. It's like student council, and I am the advisor of that. So we've had lots of good times together with fundraisers and putting on our dances and spirit activities. Dallas is always good for a laugh, and I currently have Tyler in class. He's in one of my English classes, and I've known him, for quite some time now. I had Louis in class his freshman year and just this past fall. Louis is a bright young man. One story that I do remember about Louis, junior year, all juniors take the ACT test, and one test that they take is called the ACT Work Keys. And that test measures your readiness for career prep, not necessarily college prep, but career prep. And Louis received the highest award possible, which I didn't even know existed, and it's called the Platinum Award. So he was teased a little bit about that, but every time I talked to Louis in class last fall, I would talk to him about the Platinum Award, and I would call him the Platinum guy. So I think that was really quite an honor for Louis, and I'm just really praying for all the families and everybody that was involved in this tragedy.
Well, we really appreciate you taking time out to join us, Meredith Anderson, teacher at Grayling High School for the last 14 years. And what I had to step away with the phones ringing off the hook, and I didn't. What subjects do you teach there, Meredith?
I teach English, and I also run our school newspaper and our student senate, which is like student council.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Meredith, and our thoughts and prayers go out to you and the rest of the faculty over there. You're doing obviously a great job. You know when the teachers know that they're doing a good job is when you have a student like Justin Gentilla call in, and he says, we're known for our academics. He's proud of the academic success, and certainly that's a result of the parents over there in the community of Grayling, and certainly you and the rest of your team there, Meredith. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Meredith Anderson. Meredith Anderson joining us, one of the teachers at Grayling High School. And it was nice, Tom, to, again, it's really a shame under these circumstances to learn so much about Louis Menard, but it is nice, but I wish I would have had an opportunity to know this kid, because I would have tried to talk him out of going to the University of Michigan.
Well, obviously when she said he was a platinum kid, that's University of Michigan material, but
right.
But seriously, you talk about a kid with a bright future in front of him. It's just so tragic. It's so sad. But you can see he's left an indelible mark on teachers and students alike, and the people he's golfed with. And that's what we have to take with us right now.
Absolutely. You've got it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. And Mike Misico stepped out of the studio to grab a quick phone call, and we're waiting to see if we need to go to that phone call before we go to break. But I think what we're going to do, Tom, is let's learn a little bit more about Cassie. Well, something about Cassie Stapleton, who lost her life as well. But I wanted to let you know this, too, real quickly. This comes from one of the students. They sent me this message, and I believe they posted it on Facebook. And this is what she wrote. As many of you know, Lewis had a little sister who he was more than fond of. Jessie was his best friend forever. He would do anything for her. I was asked to share something that the Grayling High School is doing for Jessie, something that Lewis is more elated about in heaven right now. The Grayling High School has decided to remember Louis Menard with a college fund set up for his younger sister, Jessie. We are taking donations for that fund. If you're interested in donating to this, please send those donations to the Grayling High School, 1135 North US Old 27, Grayling 49738. Attention, Sharon Shepard, and we will post this information on our Facebook page and keep this circulating. You'll make checks payable to GHS, and you can put in the memo line Jessie Menard College Fund. So, Tom, and Mike, it's just good to know that our kids out there, because we hear about the negative all the time, but these kids over there in Grayling didn't have to think twice about stepping into action to show support for their community and their classmates.
No, it's very. I was already impressed. I had a chance to go to Grayling a few times to watch some of their sporting events this year, just because of our coverage here on ESPN. Very impressed with the school. We had a chance to talk to a bunch of the coaches there. Great, but really the student body has stepped up big time, and hats off to them. And this very sad week for them and their school.
Yeah. You've got it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. In addition to the community of Grayling, the community of Kalkaska has been hard hit as well. We've been talking a lot about, and rightfully so, the Grayling golf team and the students at Grayling High School. But Cassie Stapleton, 27 years old, a mother of three, and a Kalkaska High School graduate, was an athlete. She played soccer. She was a cheerleader, which is also an athletic sport in high school. And we heard from earlier today, we had people check in with us, and certainly we'd love to hear from anybody else tonight if you'd like to at 231-929-1067. But Dawn Baggs, who is Cassie's cousin, called in earlier, and we're going to go to that. Then we'll take a quick break and come back and take your phone calls here at 231-929-1067. Joining us on the telephone is Dawn Baggs. And Dawn, you're the cousin of Cassie Stapleton, and we really want to get to know her a little better. But in addition to that, you have a connection to both communities because you live in Grayling, and your son is a student there at the Grayling High School. But first, tell us about Cassie.
Well, when Cassie was young, she played AYSO soccer, and she moved on from soccer when she got a little bit older and started cheerleading, which was a good thing for her because she was our biggest cheerleader all around. And she was on the competitive cheer team on 2002 and 2003, I believe, and she did that all through high school. So that was one of her real loves. And like I said, she was that bubbly, sparkly little ray of sunshine that everybody wants. And we had our own.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know this is very tough, and we appreciate you, Dawn, taking a moment to share about your cousin. And you also obviously are feeling this pain from the Grayling perspective as well with your son. He's a student over there and on the track team.
Yes, he's a junior at Grayling High School, and he runs track for them, and he previously played football for Grayling High School as well.
It's so you might have. Do you know some of the young men on the golf team?
I'm sure I've seen them in passing, and I know if they play other sports like the ones my son played, I've probably watched the boys play since they've been in high school, or even when they were Redskins in Grayling when they were little guys.
Right, the Redskins, the Grayling Redskins, is the youth football program over there. Yep. Well, Dawn, we wish you and your family the best through this very difficult time, and certainly for your son and all of his classmates and all of the students there at Grayling High School. And thanks so much for taking a few moments out of your day today to tell us about Cassie Stapleton.
Well, she's definitely one that will be missed and remembered, and we're just still praying and pulling for all the boys that are injured, and we're praying for the family that also lost ones in this. It's a tragedy.
Yeah. All right, Dawn, the best to you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. Thank you for calling today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
My child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away, and he was talking for I knew it. And as he grew, he'd say, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then.
You're listening to High School Sports Center on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio, Northern Michigan.
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend. We've known each other since we were 9 or 10. Together we've climbed hills and trees, learned of love and ABC, and skinned our hearts and skinned our knees. Goodbye, my friend, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. Now that
you have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. Good evening. Our show tonight, High School Sports Center, going out in the memory of Louis Menard, 18, from Grayling High School, lost his life on Monday. Also, Coach Jason Potter, head coach, age 31 years old, just started coaching the team. And Cassandra Stapleton, 27. A show also goes out tonight to those that are recovering from the tragic accident on Monday. Mason Cray, Tyler Summers, Jake Hinkle, Gunnar Metzer, Dallas Johnson, all members of the Grayling Vikings boys varsity golf team, and Rhonda Mitchell, who I know and was a colleague of mine in the food and beverage business. And Rhonda, the mother of Cassandra Stapleton, currently recovering in the hospital as well.
I've been monitoring our Facebook, Rick, because, we've been getting a lot of response from the folks in Grayling. And I just wanted to read this real quick. This is from a gentleman. I don't think you'd mind me reading this. He posted it on Facebook. His name is David Samero. He wanted to call tonight, but he said he basically couldn't do justice to it. So he sent a message that he posted on Facebook earlier. This is David Samero. He says, "Today is one of the hardest days of my life. It finally hit me that Louis Menard is gone, and I lost a hell of a friend. I'll never be able to pay Louis or his family for all they've done for me." He goes on to thank Tim Sanchez, Mr. Mead, and Officer Finstern for talking with him during first hours. He said, "You guys really helped me, and all the teachers helped me, and the administrators." He says, "Louis, I love you and miss you, man. It'll be the hardest week of college when you won't be with me and Wesley Dean at CMU for the CMU versus U of M football weekend." Tough message there.
Absolutely. We appreciate everyone joining us tonight, and it's tough under these circumstances. We'll resume, as I know Louis would want us to, as I know Coach Potter would want us to, as Cassie Stapleton would want us to. They want their loved ones to be able to, when the time is right, get on with life as hard as it is, and we'll resume normal high school sports center on Saturday at 9 o'clock. But tonight it's all about these communities of Grayling and Kalkaska. And just heard from Trucker Al, one of our regular, he listens religiously to High School Sports Center. He knows some of these families that are involved. He's traveling home in his truck, in his big rig, heading from Sheboygan back to his home in Petoskey, and he just wanted to pass along his thoughts and prayers. And Mike Misico joining us in the studio. You've been monitoring the phone calls from people who just are not ready to go on the air, and what is the latest?
All right, well, guys, awesome. Again, I just want to say it's awesome how seeing people band together and to let loved ones and friends and family members realize that they are not alone in this terrible time. Along those lines, there are a couple more ways that you can help these families. I just talked to a couple people. One is, her name was Betty Keller. She called in. She's from Kalkaska, very close to the Stapleton family, very close to Cassie. There's a memorial fund set up for Cassie. And you can do this to a couple other ways to help this family with the costs. You can call the Kalkaska Funeral Home directly and make a donation there at 231-258-3346, or you can send a check or money order to a P.O. Box 1457. That's in Kalkaska, Michigan 49646. So. That is one way to help. I know this family, as do all of them. These are unexpected things that have come up, and any bit of money helps these families. So I'm sure we can pass along this information as well through Facebook and other outlets. So we'll get that out there. There was another woman that called. She is from Grayling. Tracy Youngblood was her name. She has a couple kids at the high school. She is a family friend, knows Jason, Coach Potter really well. She passed this message along from Coach Potter's family. They're setting up a Jason Potter Memorial Fund. His dream was to teach kids how to play golf. His passion was golf. They are setting up a memorial fund for him, and what it's going to do is help provide, start a golf program for young kids, any kids that want to learn the game of golf. This will be through the country club in Grayling. And a way you can do this, you can go directly to the Grayling Country Club, make your donation, or you can send them to the Jason Potter Memorial Fund, P.O. Box 627 in Grayling, Michigan, 49738, zip code. And again, this is something that was passed along from Jason's family, and we will relay this information again to you guys as well.
Yeah, we'll certainly get that information up on our Facebook page and website and keep that information out there. We'll also, you can go to our Facebook page and get linked to the community vigil that's taking place tomorrow night, 6 p.m. at the Grayling Country Club. And two young, I don't know, I'm assuming they're high school students, but according to Mike Fortino, a couple of young students came in to see him and said, look, let's have a community vigil. And people are coming from all over the country. I've been reading the Facebook pages, and excuse me. Real quick, I mean, this is extremely hard, emotional. I mean, certainly very tough on the families in Grayling and Kalkaska, but there may be more. Grayling's a small town. There may be more people coming to this vigil than people who live in Grayling, based upon the outpouring of support. I know some 700 plus people have responded, Mike and Tom, that they're coming on Facebook, and I'm sure not everybody is connected to Facebook. We also have a link. They have a prayer page, to be able to put your prayers and thoughts out for everyone, including Cassie Stapleton and her family, and that has over 2,500 people. And as we've mentioned earlier, we're learning that sports programs, not only in northern Michigan but across the country, are honoring Grayling. And I'd like to say too that we realize that there were students specifically at Grayling High School, but also Cassie Stapleton was a graduate of Kalkaska High School, and sports was important there. We heard from her cousin that she was on the competitive cheer team. We learned a lot about competitive cheer earlier this year, Tom and Mike, when the coach from East Jordan called us to tell us how physical and tough competitive cheer is. Cassie also played soccer, a mother of 3. And speaking of her time as a competitive cheerleader, let's go to Sharon Stockford, who joined us earlier. She's a retired teacher from Kalkaska High School, and she coached Cassie, and she said this was very tough, and she wanted to record her statement earlier today, and this is Sharon. Joining us on the telephone right now, Sharon Stockford, who used to coach cheerleading at Kalkaska High School, and we really appreciate you joining us. We know it's a very difficult time for everyone, and you coached one of the victims, Cassie Stapleton. She was a cheerleader at Kalkaska High School.
Yes, she was. Cassie, I coached Cassie in her senior year and co-coached with Mary Scobie her junior year. Cassie was a very spirited, talented cheerleader. She had a zest for life. If we ran into a stunt or a difficult thing to do, she was the first one to say, we can do it, and she had a determination to make that work. She loved life.
Being a teacher your whole life and joining us on the phone, Sharon Stockford, who is retired from Kalkaska High School as a teacher and also a cheerleading coach. These kids are always your kids, no matter how old they are, as a former teacher, and so I know this is very, very difficult for you right now, Sharon.
Yes, it is. It's especially difficult because just a few years after graduation, Cassie's best friend, Stephanie, who was on the team, they were co-captains, died of cancer. So this cheer team that I coached has lost 2 kids, 2 women, before they're 30. So it's real tough.
Yeah, very tough for that graduating class. Do you know as of yet if they've set the funeral arrangements?
Not to my knowledge. I know they were working on it yesterday. I assume that they'll announce it tomorrow. And that Cassie's mom is still in the hospital, and I know that that's probably causing some arrangement issues.
Absolutely. Well, Sharon Stockford, thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us a little reflection on Cassie's life. And it's just a terrible tragedy. And all of northern Michigan, we're just one big family here, and we're all grieving. And we really appreciate you taking time out and sharing your thoughts about your former cheerleader, Cassie Stapleton.
You're welcome, and I wish everyone involved in the accident good healing, those that are left, and good healing for the families, and many prayers.
Okay, best to you and to your husband. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you.
Well, Sharon Stockford, retired cheerleading coach and teacher there at Kalkaska High School.
Amazing lady. I've had the pleasure of meeting her on several occasions. She just recently retired, and great lady there.
If you'd like, you've got it on High School Sports Center, ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. Tom Devitt in our Petoskey studios. I'm Rick Coates along with Mike Misico. We're usually on 7 to 9, but we'll go a little bit into the 9 o'clock hour. We know some teams are just wrapping up practice. If you'd like to check in with us, 231-929-1067. Again, tonight, our show dedicated in the honor and memory of Coach Jason Potter, 31 years of age, brand new head coach for the Grayling Vikings boys golf team. And Tom and Mike, we learned that he was asked to coach. We've heard from several people saying that his goal in life was to teach the game of golf, something he was very passionate, and passed that on to the young players there in Grayling. But we learned that he just started coaching this year. I mean, this was his first year coaching, and the kids, you can tell when you're a good coach. When we learned from Dallas Johnson, who called earlier this evening before the show started, and he's still in the hospital recovering. There's 26 plus kids on the team, and when you've got that many kids coming out, that means you're doing something right to build a program. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jason and his family. And you could see, I mentioned this at the very beginning of the show, Mike and Tom. I met Jason for the first time last week over watching the Lake Michigan Conference golf match, the first match of the season, where all 8 teams from the conference were at the Grayling Country Club, and you could see the enthusiasm. He was always smiling. You could see it in his eyes that this is what he wanted to do, and it's a huge loss for the community of Grayling and for the golf program there. And then we also learned that in his professional career, he was counseling and working with young men that were faced with ages 12 to 21 at the Shawana Center there that are faced with all sorts of difficulties in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to remind people, too, that Saturday, we're going to continue with our sports show, but I do want these people that have reached out to us that we get updates on these people in the hospital. There's going to be a long recovery, but a lot of people still in some, pretty serious condition, and we want to know their status so we can pass it along to everybody else, because everybody's going to want to know how they're doing and how their recovery's going.
We're coming up on the top of the hour here on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. It's 9 o'clock. Good evening.
Yes, this is Brad Summers, Tyler Summers' dad.
Hi, Mr. Summers. I just want to say, first of all, that I met your son last week. I walked 18 holes of golf. He was in the group that was with my son. And I just want to say that your son is a true gentleman, a true sportsman. And we just, our thoughts and our prayers are going out to you and the rest of your family, and certainly to Tyler.
Thank you. I just hope that I did not know the outpour when you're in a ICU unit, and he's a fighter, and he's gonna win this battle. And thank you for everybody out there and their support, and I hope that everybody involved is going to heal and be healthy. And again, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Summers, we know this is very difficult, but before we let you go, will you tell us a little bit about your son, Tyler? So there's a lot of people listening tonight that do not know Tyler, but they've gotten to know a little bit about him just simply because of the result of this accident.
He's a good, honest, he's not exactly an Eagle Scout yet, but real close. And he's just a good, rounded boy, and has funny. He's caring. It's just hard seeing him in the state he is right now.
Well, you and his mother, obviously, from my observations, have done a great job raising him. I mean, boy, I don't know him that well, but I watched him play 18 holes of golf last week, and he's very happy-go-lucky. And when he'd hit a bad shot, most of us when we're playing golf, we hit a bad shot. It's like, wow. And we get upset and say things. But he was just so happy-go-lucky. He just moved on to the next shot, and he was very helpful to the other 3 young men that were with him because he knows that course real well. And so I just can't say enough about the class act that your son, Tyler Summers, is.
I appreciate that, and I did not know that. I'm glad to hear something like that because, as you know, when you're on the golf team, you can't talk to them, and it's only my own business. It's difficult to get out there and go to all the matches.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Summers, we appreciate you joining us tonight and bringing us up to speed and the best for you and your family. And we're praying hard, and our thoughts go out to you that Tyler recovers quickly and he'll be back home with you guys soon.
And pray for him because tomorrow he's going to go into surgery to have attention to the burns on his feet. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good night, and thanks so much, Mr. Summers. And good luck. Boy, Tom and Mike, that's just tough. I mean, I'm a dad, too. We're all dads in this studio. Lots of parents listening out there, and you feel so helpless. And I had an opportunity earlier, and hopefully we'll be able to get to that interview, but I can quickly summarize that Dr. Michael Hayes spoke to me earlier today. He was a star at Central Michigan University, and you'll be happy to know this, Tom. He was part of that Central Michigan University team that beat Michigan State University back-to-back in the early 90s. And Mike is also a coach and very active in youth sports throughout northern Michigan. And, he shared this to me, and he said that, the kids today, we hear so much negative about the social media, the Twitter and the Facebook, but his monitoring of that, he said he feels that these kids are very fortunate to be able to have that venue to express themselves. And he did relate to me that he said, look at, there are kids that are and adults that are impacted by this all across northern Michigan. Even if you didn't know Tyler Summers, or you didn't know Louis Menard, or you didn't know Coach Potter, or you don't know Dallas Johnson, or Gunnar Metzer, or Jake Hinkle, or Mason Cray, or Cassie Stapleton, or Rhonda Mitchell, we're all impacted different ways. And Dr. Hayes suggested that anybody that's troubled by this at all, it's best to go and see your guidance counselor at school, regardless of what school you're going at. We know Grayling did a great job bringing in grief counselors and people from Mercy Hospital there and other health professionals from the community. But if you're having trouble with this, Dr. Hayes said the best thing you can do is go and talk to somebody and express your feelings, and that'll make a world of difference.
Yeah, and it's, like I said at the beginning, there's no roadmap for this. Everybody's going to grieve in their own way. Everybody's going to react in their own way, and that's kind of what we're doing here tonight. But it has been fascinating to watch the support from the Grayling community, and is something that's tragic like this that's happened. But like I said, we are going to monitor this, and we are going to pass along the information because a lot, these kids are still going through a tough time that are in the hospital, and it's still going to be a rough recovery. But listen to that parent on the phone. I can't imagine what kind of week they must have had, and still going through it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, as we heard from Mr. Summers, he asked that the community of northern Michigan keep their son Tyler in your prayers tonight. Tyler tomorrow will be going under some additional surgery because he suffered burns from the accident in addition to all of the other injuries that he sustained. So certainly we will keep Tyler and the rest of the young men and Rhonda Mitchell and the 3-year-old daughter as well in our prayers, and certainly the families of Louis Menard, Cassie Stapleton, and Coach Jason Potter in our prayers as well. And We're going to take a quick break, and if anybody would like to join us, you may do so at 231-929-1067. We'll continue this discussion and an opportunity for people to grieve and share their comments for just a little while longer, and then we'll go back to our flagship station, ESPN Radio. I'm Rick Coates, along with Tom Devitt and Mike Misico, and I think Joe Cocker will tell us here how the community of Northern Michigan is going to be able to get through this here.
That's right.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Yeah. Oh, baby, how will you help me if I can? All I need is my brother. I say I'm gonna get high.
You're listening to High School Sports Center on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio, Northern Michigan.
You have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan's High School Sports Center. A special tribute to the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska tonight. Tom Devitt in our Petoskey studios. I'm Rick Coates here in Traverse City, along with Mike Misico, the sports editor of the Kalkaska Leader, who has certainly followed Grayling sports very closely, Mike. And you know, as we met on the golf course on Monday, and just to bring everybody up to speed, the Grayling by now everybody knows that the Grayling boys varsity golf team was headed to the second Lake Michigan golf match of the season. You play 4 matches and then you have a conference match to crown the champion. They were involved in this horrific accident. When they started the golf match at the Grand Traverse Resort, nobody was aware of exactly what had taken place. The young men from each of the other 7 schools knew that there had been an accident. The Grayling wasn't going to be participating. They sent them out onto the course, and about 6 or 7 holes in, once all of the coaches learned that one of their colleagues and all of these coaches, they met, a lot of them met Jason for the first time the week before, Coach Jason Potter, at the first match where they had a coaches meeting to talk about the season. So a lot of the coaches didn't know the young Jason Potter, and so immediately once they learned the severity and the fact that Jason Potter and Lewis Menard and Cassie Stapleton had lost their lives, they decided to cancel the rest of the match out of honor and respect to Grayling. And Mike, you were there with me as we saw these young kids coming off from the various different schools.
Yeah, it was a sight. You know, the rain falling down. It was a dreary day. I don't know. You could see the confusion. You could see sadness, surprise. But I think, you know, it was amazing. It was a great call to call things off when they did. Hats off to the athletic directors and the coaches and the people at the resort as well who had a hand in all this and getting kids off the course and helping things run smoothly the way they did. Also, there's another Lake Michigan Conference match coming up on Friday, and so far that is on for this Friday as well. I wanted to throw that out there.
Right. It's what we learned, Tom, earlier tonight is that the community of Grayling and Grayling High School and the athletic director, they talked about it, and everybody felt that Coach Potter and Louis Menard and the rest of the boys that are a part of the Grayling golf team want the season to continue.
Absolutely. And
so as far as we know, the season will continue. We heard from the coach from Kalkaska, and they'll start off with a prayer and a moment of silence.
Right. They'll begin the conference match with a moment of silence. Also, I just wanted to say that I talked to an Elk Rapids coach as well, Coach Lavely there in Elk Rapids, as well as some other coaches, and just to confirm about the match coming up on Friday, and they all told me the same thing, that Grayling was insistent. Grayling said this is what these guys would want, and they want this thing to go on. They want people to keep playing. And I just thought that was a phenomenal move by Grayling. So hats off to them once again.
You've got it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan's High School Sports Center if you'd like to participate in the conversation. And we just want to thank them. When we go to close the show here in just a little bit, we'll remind you of everyone who called in tonight, offering a lot of information, a lot of support, and that. And Tom Devitt, we typically have a very, very easy job in the sense that each week and each time we're on the air, we're given scores and we're talking about the leading scorer and all of that, and this is a little bit of a different challenge, but I just want to thank you and Mike. I think that, and the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska and everyone else that's checked in, I think that we had no idea. There's no roadmap for this, as you said earlier, and I think the last 2 hours has really given a lot of people an opportunity to express their feelings and thoughts, as well as a lot of people around Northern Michigan who had no idea exactly what had taken place and now have at least a little bit of a sense about who Louis Menard was, Cassie Stapleton, Jason Potter, and then some of the young boys from the Grayling team that are in the hospital or just recently released in the hospital, Mason Cray, Tyler Summers, Jake Hinkle, Gunnar Metzer, and Dallas Johnson. Then, of course, Rhonda Mitchell, the mother of Cassie Stapleton.
Well, I wanted to pass along, too, because I have been monitoring the Facebook comments, and some people have not been able to get through, or they didn't want to call. They just want to send this message. So I'm going to read just a couple real quick, if I could, Rick. This is from Jesse Rollins. They said, thank you for honoring the Grayling High School boys golf team. My husband and I have been praying for them. My 4-year-old son has been praying for them, too, before he goes to bed and before he goes to school. I know Tyler Summers. He is a friend of my youngest brother, Jonah Strauss. They're in the Boy Scouts together. Thank you again, and thoughts and prayers go out from the Rollins family to all the golf team and their friends and family. And I believe I've got a few of these. I'm trying to pass along as many as I can.
I'll let you keep. We'll have you keep grabbing a few more of those. We have now on the telephone joining us. We're going to be joined right now by Wayne Metzer, and you're the uncle of Gunnar, right, Mr. Metzer?
Yes, I am.
Well, we appreciate you calling tonight under these very difficult circumstances, and we'll instead of asking you questions, we'll let you say what you'd like to everyone that's listening tonight, Mr. Metzer.
Well, I guess words can heal anything, but the pouring sympathy for all these families and everything that's going on. My heart goes out to them all. Like I said, you just can't say enough, to the family and to the community support that people have been given. I want to welcome my nephew Gunnar home, and hope that all the rest of the boys make it through, and everybody needs to pray for those boys, I want to thank you guys, too, for doing this, because this is awesome, I want to thank all the state troopers, all the EMS firefighters over there. Without those guys, and I know a lot of those guys don't get paid for doing that. Those guys are all volunteer firemen. So I mean, my heart goes out to all of them because they probably all have kids and things like that.
Mr. Metzer, before we let you run and get back to, we know your brother called in, and tell us a little bit about your nephew from your perspective about Gunner.
My nephew, you couldn't ask for a better nephew than that. He's a great kid. He's always fun to be around. I know all his buddies. They're good sportsmen. You couldn't ask for a better group of kids. I know earlier you read a text from David Samero. I'm friends with his dad, and I sent a text to his dad and told him to turn it on, and he texted me back and said that David was too shook up to do it because David lives right across the street from Lewis, and him and Lewis, I guess, ever since Lewis moved in, I'm not sure, on the year 8-10 years ago, him and David have been friends. They're like brothers. So, and he texted me back and said that David he couldn't do it. That he was, matter of fact, I don't even think they're listening because he couldn't do it. So, and I told Al, I said, well, I'm going to call and let everybody know. And Al is one of our city policemen here, and he told me that whenever David said that he was going with Lewis, that he knew that he was in great hands with Lewis, that he would trust him with Lewis. It didn't matter if they were going for a day or a week or a month or whatever, that Lewis was a great kid, and that he couldn't ask for a better, friend for his son.
Well, and we certainly know that it's obviously difficult, and as we mentioned before, each person has their own way of being able to handle and deal with a tragedy like this. One thing that we are going to do, Mr. Metzer, we want to let everybody know that's out there listening, we're in the process now of being able to podcast our shows, and so sometime next week we'll have this show up on our website. So when a person like David who we know is a big fan, he texts us during the show, giving us updates on Grayling. He lives, eats, sleeps, breathes Grayling sports. When we were naming our all ESPN team, and we were for the first time back in the fall, it was David who sent me a text message and said, I nominate Jake Schwander to be on that team. It was the first person we heard from, and we know how much he loves Grayling. We know how much he loves the Vikings and his teammates and his classmates over there. And so we'll have this available for David and his classmates and everyone else next week on our website. Mr. Metzer, the best to you and your family. We're happy to hear that your nephew has returned home. We know he has some serious injuries, and the road to recovery is going to be a long one. But from everything that you've described about Gunner, he's going to pull through and do all right.
Oh, yeah, I understand. I'm an 82 graduate myself of the Viking Nation. What? I want to give a shout out too. My wife we're really good friends with the Potter family, and my wife, when we heard all this, she went around to all the businesses and and called the West Side Diner and Glenn's Market, Spike's Keg and Nails. A few other places that donated food that she took out to the Potter family that they were very gracious to. I started a new job, and I told them, hey, I was pretty shook up that I was going, I went to work for Don Nestor Chevrolet in Roscommon, and I told them what I was doing. Jeff Nestor said, here, he gave me the credit card. He said, no, let me go buy that food. So me and Al Samero took out a bunch of groceries out to the Menards, and they were very, very thankful for that. So,
awesome.
I just want to thank the community.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Metzer, we'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you tomorrow night at the vigil, 6:00 at the Grayling Country Club.
I just texted Mike Fertino and told him if he needed any help with anything that I'd more than greatly help out. So,
all right.
We'll see everybody here. Thank you, guys.
All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Wow.
That was a great phone call. He mentioned, he talked about David, who was too shook up to call, and I can certainly understand that.
No doubt.
But his text that he sent was elegant and that I read elegant and very heartfelt, and that I think expressed it as well as anything, what he's feeling right now.
Tom and Mike, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. You've got it on ESPN Radio here of Northern Michigan. It's High School Sports Center. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to do one more segment. If you'd like to check in with us, 231-929-1067, as we pay tribute and we honor the communities of Grayling and Kalkaska, and keep in our thoughts and prayers those who lost their lives earlier this week, and the people that are currently recovering either at home or in the hospital. And Tom, when we come back, we'll have you read a few more statements that people made on our Facebook page, okay?
Okay, I'll do that.
You're listening to High School Sports Center on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio, Northern Michigan.
Sometimes I wonder how I'd ever make it through this world without having you. I just wouldn't have a clue.
You have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. High School Sports Center. You know, very tough time for everyone here in Northern Michigan. But I think tonight, Tom and Mike, people, we can hear it in their voices as we have those that are recovering from that terrible tragedy. People are getting some hope and that. But again, we just want to say that our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of Lewis Menard, Cassie Stapleton, and Coach Jason Potter, who all lost their lives on Monday in that terrible accident in Kalkaska County. And Tom, you said we had a couple of other notes that we received on our Facebook page.
Yeah, well, actually, quite a few, and people just giving shout-outs to Grayling High School and the students and saying their prayers are with them. I got this one. I'll read real quick here. It says, I'm listening to your show on the radio and wanted to give a shout-out to the Grayling High School students. These kids were rocked last June by another classmate, Sierra Proser and Shelby Golnick. I remember this. They were in an ATV accident. Sierra was flown to Grand Rapids with a traumatic brain injury, and she was very critical. Along with the love and support from family and friends, Sierra spent 62 days in the hospital, and G-Town brought her back home. They never gave up. These kids have been through so much, and they never give up. She says, I would appreciate it if you could mention this, but not say who sent this. She said, thank you, and a great job. So there you go. That's just one of the letters that are the notes we've been getting from people on Facebook about this incident.
We'll have on our Facebook page lots of information. There's opportunities to be able to contribute financially. We want to thank Monica Leslie, who reached out to us and also posted on our Facebook page, and I'll repost it. Monica Leslie, a 2007 graduate of Grayling High School. She established the GoFundMe.com/GHS Boys Golf. You can go to that site and you can find it on our Facebook page, and her goal is to raise $5,000 or more to help each of the families that are involved. They're going to give those families some, split up whatever's raised, Tom, because these families right now, they're over, a lot of them are in Traverse City. They're losing time at work. They're getting hotel rooms, that sort of thing. And so she wants to help offset those costs. So we want to thank her as well. Let's. We've got a phone call here, Tom and Mike, and joining us on the phone, Dave. You want to give us an update about tomorrow night's vigil at the Grayling Country Club?
Yeah, I'd love to. I am, I'm a long-time Graylingite. I've been friends of all the Metzers, Jay Kinkle is almost family. Mason Cray is almost family to us all. I've ordered 1,000 of them Chinese sky candles that we're going to light off tomorrow night in Grayling. And I just got off the phone with Dale, and we're going to let Gunner light the first one. We would like everybody to view this. I mean, this thing is shaking our community. I mean, it's not just an accident and some people have died. This is shaking the community. We love all these kids. These are kids and families that have been in Grayling, and this is what goes on here. There's 5,000 people in cul-de-sacs everywhere around the world. We have 5,000 people in our town. And we're gonna. Like I said, I got off the phone with Dale. We're gonna let Gunnar light the first one. We're gonna send these two gentlemen, these two great people that we have lost in our life, up to heaven with lights that they'll see coming.
Well, Dave, we really appreciate you checking in with us tonight and working hard to help facilitate this. And again, it's tomorrow night. The vigil starts at 6 o'clock. And we heard from Mike Fortino, who is the new golf professional at the Grayling Country Club. And a lot like what we said tonight about this show, there's no roadmap for what we're doing tonight. There's really not a roadmap for Mike and everyone else. We're just going to let our hearts dictate what takes place tomorrow night. But 6 o'clock it'll start. Get there early. There's only one way in and out of the Grayling Country Club. It's located in the business district on the south end of is it business 27 and 75? How does that work, Dave? Tell the people exactly where I know how to get there, but I don't know the names of the roads.
Well, it's the business loop 27. As you're coming through Grayling, you have to go by the country club, and before you get to the big boy, you turn right.
Okay.
We were talking about it tonight. A couple of us went out and played golf, and every time we hit a shot, we looked at the sky and we said, "Jason, this is for you. You've done so much for us. We're going to miss you." It's still hard to talk about all of this, Rick. But yeah, we're trying to figure out where to put all the cars. I talked to the greenskeeper. They said if we need to put people on the driving range, we'll park people on the driving range. So whoever wants to come to this vigil and pay their respects to what is going on here in Grayling. There's places to park at the American Legion Hall, which is right across from the country club. There's probably places for 200 cars in the country club. The Big Boy parking lot, the Glens Market parking lot. There's places to get to. If you want to come, there's places for you to park, and it is going to be a send-off. They're going to know that there's some Vikings coming to heaven. I mean, two of them are already there, and we want to, light the sky, and that's what my plan is to do tomorrow.
Well, Dave, we really appreciate it. We'll look forward to meeting you tomorrow night, and thanks again for calling with the update.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Tom and Mike, we'll wrap things up with some final comments and thoughts. If you'd like to check in with us, 231-929-1067, or as you've been hearing, Tom Devitt been reading comments on our Facebook page. You can check in with us that way. You can send us a tweet at ESPN NMI. But we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, as I said, some closing thoughts and comments. And if there's somebody else from the Grayling or Kalkaska community that maybe can do a better job than us, maybe be a little bit more eloquent, we'd appreciate your calls with the final thoughts here on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan.
I will
listening to High School Sports Center on 106.7 and 105.5 ESPN Radio, Northern Michigan.
You have it on ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan. It's 9:35. We'll take any last-minute thoughts that anybody would like to share. 231-929-1067. Tom Devitt in our Petoskey studios, joined here by myself, Rick Coates, along with Mike Misico in Traverse City. Again, we're honoring and paying tribute and offering our prayers and thoughts to the communities of Kalkaska and Grayling. Again, Lewis Menard, Cassie Stapleton, and Coach Jason Potter losing their lives on Monday. Recovering from that horrific accident, Grayling golf team members from the varsity boys golf team, Mason Cray, Tyler Summers, Jake Hinkle, Gunnar Metzert, and Dallas Johnson. And also in the hospital recovering, Rhonda Mitchell, the mother of Cassie Stapleton. Tom, Mike, final thoughts before we sign off tonight?
Well, I just like to thank the community, because basically what we did is we just turned the show over to the people tonight, and the outpouring from the Grayling community and the Northern Michigan community, and the affection and love they show for these kids, and and the coach has been really overwhelming, and it's all them. And I've just myself been overwhelmed by what the support they've shown. It's been their show tonight, and they've done a great job. And it's been humbling to listen to.
Yeah, humbling for sure, guys. Look, Northern Michigan is a great place, and Northern Michigan is full of even greater people. And we've seen that. We've seen this going on throughout this week here with this tragedy. I am still just floored by the way people band together. Listen, if you've ever started to lose your faith in anything, this has restored my faith in many things. Seeing the way people respond, bond together, help each other, pray for each other, care for each other, everything. I mean, Kalkaska is an amazing community. I've had the pleasure of working there the last 3 years. Gotten to know many people there. They are bonding together. They are strong. Grayling spent so much time there covering teams over the years and covering high school sports. Amazing community. We are lucky to live where we do, guys, and we're lucky to be surrounded by such great people. So this has been great.
When ESPN Radio of Northern Michigan joined our broadcast group here at Northern Broadcasting, I had been a member of the Northern Broadcasting team for a while, and I sat down with our general manager and said, if we want to be successful, Northern Michigan loves its high school sports. We need to do something to pay tribute to high school sports each and every week. We launched High School Sports Center. We were very fortunate that Tom Devitt joined us shortly after we launched this with his expertise, and now Mike Misico joining our broadcast team. And we started this with a thought that we would pay honor and tribute to the young scholar athletes throughout Northern Michigan, and to the coaches and teachers who work tirelessly to help these kids and guide them and pave them on their way to becoming our future community leaders. And sometimes we seem to focus in on the negative in our society, and we hear about the bad about the kids, and we hear that this generation that's coming up behind us, that they don't work as hard as we did when we were kids. Maybe they're lazy, and they get things too fast in life. But as Mike Misico and Tom Devitt said, working and watching these kids and listening to the kids that have been calling in on ESPN radio here during High School Sports Center, I see that as the furthest thing from the truth. I see that as exactly opposite when I see what happened and what took place on Monday, and how the kids in Grayling immediately stepped up for their fellow classmates and their families, not worried about anything else in their own lives, but instead thinking about the families of those who lost their lives, and thinking about the other classmates who were recovering in the hospital. And immediately, people like Monica Leslie, who, immediately establishing a fund to help out the families who are having to have hotel room expenses and other expenses and missing work, and that to help offset some of their costs. To the two young ladies who came up with the idea that there should be a vigil so the community can come together, the community of Northern Michigan. That's really what our young kids are about here in Northern Michigan, and we're very fortunate. And when we talk about the sports prowess of these kids, and we've talked about Justice Gentilla in the past, and he's a great athlete, but you know what? He's a better young man than he is an athlete. When I heard his comments tonight and how well he represented Grayling, he represented the community of Grayling with such class tonight, and he represented his school and his classmates, his teachers, the administrators, and the coaches over there. When we listened to the courage that Dallas Johnson had calling from his hospital room, Tom and Mike, and sharing, the extent of his injuries just a couple of days after losing his golf coach and one of his friends from the golf team, and knowing that a couple of his classmates and close friends are in comas and struggling and having to go through more surgery. We have great kids out there in Northern Michigan, and we're very, very fortunate. And through this tragedy, we've seen how great our kids are. And I can't say enough about that, Tom and Mike. Ooh.
I agree with you totally. It has been it's been an interesting week and a tragic week for Northern Michigan, but you're right that through this tragedy, some really good stuff has come through.
We want to thank everyone that called in tonight and took the time to bring us up to speed. Again, we were working without any sort of producer or an intern. I am happy to report that we will have an intern reporting for duty this weekend. But so I'm going to go just from my memory, and I certainly want to first thank Mike Fortino, who has been fielding phone calls from around the country and become somewhat of a point person for the community of Grayling. He's the head golf professional there. He's helping to organize the vigil tomorrow night. We appreciate him taking time out earlier this evening. Certainly, again, Dallas Johnson for calling us from the hospital and letting us know how he's doing. We want to thank Monica Leslie for checking in with us, 2007 graduate. The information about what she is doing to help the families out is on our Facebook page. Want to thank Dale Metzer for joining us. He's Gunner's father, and his brother Wayne Metzer for joining us tonight to talk about Gunner's condition and passing on Gunner's comments as well. Want to thank Angie Rouston, who joined us just after leaving the hospital, driving back home with her parents. She is the girlfriend of Jake Hinkle, and she called in and gave us just some uplifting comments about Jake, who had to be induced into a coma, was responding to her and to his mother tonight and was squeezing hands, and we were very, very fortunate to hear from her as well and hear the good news about Jake Hinkle's recovery. Also want to thank Meredith Anderson, and listening to her, Tom and Mike, we know that they've got great faculty over there at Grayling High School. She's involved with all of these students. She's the head of the Student Senate over there. She's also the head of the newspaper, the faculty advisor for the newspaper, and I believe she said she taught English. Want to thank Rich Calkins for joining us. He's part of the Grayling Sports Network over there. He's also a Grayling graduate. He checked in, did a great job bringing us up to speed on the community of Grayling. Also want to thank Dennis Mansfield. He's the editor of the Kalkaska Leader. And for reminding us, too, our focus, Tom and Mike, tonight has been so much on the families and those who lost their lives, but giving an all-important shout-out to the EMS, the firefighters, the law enforcement, other first responders, and as I can't remember if it was Mr. Metzer or who, but also reminded us that a lot of these individuals are volunteers, and their swift action certainly resulted in some lives being saved as well.
Right, and we throw around the word hero so often in sports, guys, and nothing compares. You talk about being a hero to things that those guys do out there and things they did. So
right. Also want to thank Sharon Stockford, longtime teacher at Kalkaska High School. She also coached the cheer team there, which Cassie Stapleton was a member of that cheer squad. It was a competitive cheer squad, and certainly to get her thoughts about Cassie and her remembrance of Cassie, we appreciate that. And also Cassie Stapleton's cousin, Dawn Baggs, who joined us as well. She also shared some, background on Cassie, who leaves at 27 years old, leaves behind 2 sons and a daughter as well. And I apologize. I know Dave checked in with us as well from Grayling about the vigil tomorrow night, and I know we heard from some others, and I apologize. Simply just
the young man who covers Grayling sports.
Yeah, we did get a hold. I did mention him. I did mention Rich Calkins as well, and certainly, anyone, the others that called in, I apologize. But I want to thank you, as Tom and Mike said, we want to thank the community of Northern Michigan for being very supportive tonight, for listening in. And again, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone. And as we close this show, we'll be back on Saturday morning. We will give you updates as we get them. We'll return to a regular high school sports center on Saturday. We'll check in with coaches and players. Mike Misico and I will have a reaction from the golf match for the Lake Michigan Conference Friday that's taking place at Grandview in Kalkaska. And we'll check in with a lot of the other programs that are going on around Northern Michigan. And we'll also let you know how the vigil went if you're not able to make that, and then bring you up to speed on any updates that we have from those that are recovering. And so with that being said, I'd like to again just send this out to Lewis. Out to Louis Menard, 18 years old, just turned 18. We heard he's was a platinum student, a 4-point student, was a very likable individual, was headed off to the University of Michigan. And each of our next several shows, we'll do a little musical tribute to everyone that was involved. But this one going out to Louis, we'll send you out with a little Let's Go Blue, and then the tradition for every fallen golfer, Amazing Grace bagpipes. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being a part of this special show. We'll see you on Saturday morning. We'll also see you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Grayling Country Club for the Community Vigil.
himself. Well, country loved and mercy more than life. America, America, make God thy gold refined till all success be nobleness and ever again divine. And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing it something like this. Listen here. Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties, over the fruited plain. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood.